Men's jokes are never jokes. So everyone's talking about this lady and this present her husband got her. Notice how big it is. And maybe one of the most creative ways I've ever seen to show that you hate your wife.
How long did it take you?
6 hours.
Yeah.
And I cheated the system.
Yeah.
My hands are numb. Nice.
That lady gets books every year for Christmas from her husband. So her like, nice. It's books. He gives you the same present every year. And then, of course, there's always that thing went viral. And here's the thing. That thing could be total BS. It could be literally rage baiting, which we know a lot of these couples, humors people do, is post videos of a man treating their husband like crap, and then it goes viral, and they make a lot of money off it. And then they're like, we're just kidding. We're kidding. So maybe that's totally fake. But, of course, the follow-up video to that. She's like, hey, I get books every year. This is our thing. He creates a new way for me to open the same present I get every year. 6 hours? Who has the time? Do you people work? Who has the time to make that? And who has the time to open that? She was like, I got to eat my favorite candy while I opened it, and he gave me that candy. And I binge watched my favorite shows, and all you haters, blah, 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 right? I don't have anything against this woman or her husband. I don't know them. I don't care. But when you share something like that on the internet and people are upset by it because it really triggers real life dynamics in a lot of marriages where their husbands hate their wives and do anything to make more work for their wives, make their wives' life harder, to humble them, right? To degrade them, to humiliate them, which is what these pranks are always about. Just like Big Brother or Dad, so many of us are used to a man in our home humiliating us, degrading us, and making us feel small so they can feel big, like a big boy. And so I went into a rabbit hole because apparently this is what a lot of men do. That man posted that video. That wasn't her. He posted that. He was like, look at this thing I did. Isn't it funny?
I wrapped my family's gifts in clear saran wrap.
Nice!
His whole family. Not just his wife. He hates his kids too. And his mom? No shame. No shame. This woman, her brother, look at that. Her brother does this. And she's like smiling. That's why I tell y'all, a lot of us learn to accept awful behavior from men, from our brothers, our dads, our grandpas, whoever. The home is where we usually learn to put up with men's BS and enable them and pretend like it doesn't hurt our feelings, pretend like it's funny, laugh at their dumb jokes. Dad jokes are never funny. And yet everybody is like, I refuse to laugh at men's jokes that aren't funny anymore. That's emotional labor I will not do. And that's part of my working on codependency stuff. But what's so crazy to me is that one dude probably got his idea from this dude. Because men, this is a man's account. Men get these ideas from each other. Like, oh, I hate my wife too. What can I do to make her life hard? Oh, I know. I'll make this contraption that she literally has to use tools to get open. And one of my mutuals already did a video on this. I'm going to link the video in case you haven't seen it yet. When men go to this much time and effort and put this much energy into humiliating you and making your life hard and hating you and showing you how much they hate you and getting so much pleasure in watching you struggle to open your gift. It's a gift to themselves. I get to humiliate her and watch her struggle. I have an extended family member who once a year would play a prank on his wife, and it was a very extended prank. She cheated on him and left him for another man. Just saying. Whether it's a Christmas gift, a birthday gift, or just every day, I hate my wife, I hate my girlfriend content. Like this one, trying to do the saran wrap thing, and then she, and oh, pie in the face. Or this one, I want you to look how happy this man is. Look how happy he is thinking about humiliating her. It's not just the moment that he does it, it's the build up to that. Yeah, I got her. If your husband does this to you, he doesn't love you. I'm not saying that he necessarily hates you, but he definitely hates himself. Men who hate themselves will are usually incapable of loving anyone. And I actually say humans who hate themselves, because I actually did not know how to love until I really worked on my relationship with myself, which I did in community, okay? I'm not used, like, it's not an individualist approach. This really took me a long time to learn how to let people love me, and then also be vulnerable enough to really pour into other people in a non-codependent way, a non-enabling way, which is really hard for a lot of women, especially if they grew up in a home with a narcissist, an addict, an abuser, or any of those things, especially if that was a man and they end up dating men and marrying men. I had no idea that this was so common until like social media. And I just want to share one story really quick. The one time that my husband pranked me, it wasn't a prank, it was a joke. The one time, the last time. Because I also want to acknowledge that this is how men are raised. And as somebody who worked in a male-dominated industry with all men, raft guides, you know, in the film industry, in the comedy world, I worked with all men, and they tortured me. And I actually was like, oh, I kind of loved it because I'm like the sister they beat up on. But what I realized is that, like, you know, think about all the men you know who one of the first things they do is when they start drinking, they can't trust each other because they know that whoever passes out first is going to wake up with like, a penis drawn on their face, or worse, like SA, with men like putting it in their mouth. Like, men's jokes are so cruel, and they start when they're young, and they do it to their sisters, they do it to their little brother, and then the violence perpetuates. And then you end up with women marrying Biff, right? Like a George McFly who is now stuck with Biff in their home, right? These men just continue to do this stuff to whoever's closest to them, usually their wives and their children. So I get, having been so immersed in the toxically masculine world and becoming very toxically masculine myself. I wrote about it for Outside Magazine about, can't beat it, join them, the cool girl who's not, I don't care. So I understood. And I also did, backpacking trips of all teenage boys and saw what happens when you break down those walls and teach them all of these emotional intelligence kind of skills. Those boys loved each other so much by the end of that course. That's actually one reason why I believe in men, despite all of this, because I have seen firsthand how much boys, teenage boys, and even men, when they really do the hard work and take down the wall and get in touch with their humanity, which they are cut off from an early age, they can be amazing. They can be so empathetic and loving and kind that they have to do this work. And when they don't do this work, everyone in their life suffers. And when women who've been conditioned to be super codependent, when we don't do this work on ourselves, we end up just taking it, laughing at their dumb stuff, posting that crap, and then being like, God, y'all are so dumb. It was just a joke. And that's how we enable this cycle of violence. I'm not blaming it on women, okay? Before anybody's like, yeah, I get it. But I'm just saying, we have a lot of work to do on ourselves because this is not funny. I laughed at this kind of stuff for a long time. I laughed at when the men were hazing me in these outdoor jobs. Because when the one time I tried to object, they're like, what are you, a feminist? And they came down so hard on me. I was like, oh, if I want to be a part of this community and have any friends, I just can't beat them, join them. So my husband is one of the most empathetic, sensitive, loving people I have ever met. And if anything, I am the one with the cold, dead heart in this relationship. Not so much anymore. It's thawing. But the one time we were grocery shopping during, COVID. And it was a very stressful trip because, we were in confinement, couldn't leave our house without a permission slip and the police and blah. And we got to the end of the thing. We purchased like $300 worth of groceries. It was going to last us for a while. And he goes, oh no, I forgot my wallet. And I was like, ah! And his face immediately was like, no, oh my God, no, I'm sorry. And I just looked at him, I go, don't ever do that again. It's not funny. And anything that threatens my sense of safety or trusting you is not going to turn out well. And it hurts. And he was like, I'm so sorry, I will never do that again. I have been thrown in too many pools as a teenager, hazed by too many adult men in my life. I will never accept that behavior anymore. And you shouldn't either.